Costa has the heart of a champion, man. You know, and it was a really good fight. It was a good fight. So
it was a good fight. So we have Nathan El Morenito. What's up, brother? How you doing? You look quiet over there, man.
Yeah. You he's tuning in.
Hey, so I know your dad started promoting, and then your older brother Moreno. Mm-hmm. Is that why you got into boxing, or what is it about boxing that you love that made you?
Well, how do you know he loves it?
Because he's a champion, bro. Don't you see his belt?
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Like you said, it all started with my brother. We both grew up playing baseball. And
so hold on. Let me cut you off real quick. Speaking of baseball, I've been telling your brother, he has these games on Sundays. And I was like, hey, bro, shoot the invite. I hit dingers.
Let's go. You gotta set that up.
You know what I mean? I'm actually a coach for my son, so
nice.
I coach my kids baseball.
You used to coach me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Coach both my sons, yeah.
So, but anyways, I love baseball.
Yeah, so we grew up playing baseball, and I think I was about in middle school. And since I've been playing my whole life, like I kind of started falling out of love for the sport. I always like to try new sports. I played basketball, like football for the school and stuff like that, just trying new things. And my brother joined boxing, and at the time I was still playing baseball, but I was like off and on. And I told my parents, to put me in, and I wanted to try it out. But they're like, nah, because especially since I'm the younger one, they're like, nah, it's dangerous.
Baby,
gotta
man.
protect the
It's
baby.
Yeah. So they didn't want to put me in. So after like discussing with them, I finally got them to be able to put me in to try it out. I really never pictured myself, professional or doing all this. I just wanted to try it out. So I just kept training to try it out. And after the second week, they put me to spar. And just from there, that's when I fell in love with it, the adrenaline rush and stuff like that.
So what is it about getting punched in the face that everybody likes? 'Cause I don't get it.
The rush, baby.
Yeah.
Just not when you're on the receiving end a lot.
I don't know how to explain it, but it's just,
I sparred one time, bro, and I won't do it again.
Dude, we sparred. So I actually trained for a long time, for a while, but it's been a minute, right? Mm-hmm. And I used to tell stories to this guy. Oh, this and that and blah, blah, blah. And there was this young kid where we started. We were in this gym, and he was not a pro. He was a full-fledged amateur. He was a big kid. Like, what 168?
Nah.
160?
He was a 154.
Nah, man. He was stressing 154. His walk-around weight was about
160.
168, but in shape walk-around, right? Mm. So being in the game, I'd like to, not see anybody get hurt, but I like to see people.
He's an instigator.
Yeah, big time.
Instigator.
Get what you want to, what you see on TV or what you want to do, but actually try it. Mm-hmm. I told him it's not the same as seeing it and doing it. Yeah. Try it. So I excuse me, I forced him to throw on the gear, and then he's like, well, you do it too. That dude whooped both our asses in the same. It
was horrible.
Same 30 minutes.
Yeah,
beat our asses.
I only went. I lasted 3 rounds, I think.
Yeah, but it was brutal. I mean, and the dude didn't tee off on us or anything, but he's obviously out of shape. I'm out of shape, and the kid is in nice full.
So he was gonna throw a jab
shape,
and I was like, oh, let me cover up.
Bot right downstairs.
And he just dropped, and he hit me right in the stomach. Me sacó el aire. Yeah. And I just bot. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
Everybody's a professional outside the ring, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But when you get in the ring.
Exactly. That's what I tell them. It's nothing until you do it. You have to do it to understand it. Yeah. And it's the same thing with, like what you're saying, you fell in love with it. You have to love the sport because it's a brutal game. Cutting weight, being on the receiving end of a sparring match where it's just not going, it's not your day. Exactly. Digging deep. People don't realize the mentality, how mental you have to be as far as mental strength.
Just for the record, I sparred Morenito.
Did you really?
No. Yeah, that's why I'm telling you, I understand. Like, it looks easy. I was like, oh, man, this ain't nothing. 30, no, I did good for the first minute and 30 seconds. And after that, I was like, trying to
took over.
I was just trying to survive, man. I was moving, But, yeah, it looks easy from when you're, everybody's a professional outside the ring.
Oh,
man. When you're in the ring,
it's like a different story. It's
So you've been on a little tear, bro. You've been doing your thing all last year.
Yeah, thanks to my dad, I went pro 2021, and so it was 2 years, and I already have 10 fights. I've been just trying to stay active, get in the rankings, with this WBC. The last fight, I got put in the rankings, so
Yeah, talk to us about the belt. So give us the lowdown on the belt.
Yeah, man, this belt is beautiful. The Fecker box belt, I believe, the top 20 or 15?
It should be top 20.
Top 20 in the WBC. So it's just awesome, only 2 years professional and to be able to be in the rankings already.
Heck yeah.
18 years old, man.
Heck yeah.
Just turned 18 August of
Yeah.
You graduate yet, or you still in school?
No, I graduated.
Your school's done.
Barely graduated. He's like, I got a belt.
Yeah. Nah, that's good, bro.
But I was fighting professionally when I was in school. I turned pro at 16, so I was
Mexico?
Mexico and Costa Rica.
Yeah.
His debut was in Costa Rica. His first fight was in Costa Rica.
Really?
One of your fights, dude, that to me you look very impressive. I think it was the one in Costa Rica. I was like, man, from the first time I seen you to that fight, I was like, man, like you catch on quick. You're like a sponge, dude. Like you learn quick, and to me, your ring generalship.
Generalship.
Yeah, whatever.
Joke.
Guys, say wait. Like you just keep getting better, bro. So talk to us about putting in the work.
Describe yourself. Like, how would you see yourself? Because it's you look at yourself from a certain perspective than what people see. But how would you describe yourself as a fighter?
Yeah, well, like you said, I try to learn from every fight, especially my last fight. That guy was a veteran. He's been in about 4 title fights already. Yeah. So he
get a little bit closer to the mic.
He had a lot of experience already. So this fight I wanted to take, to challenge myself and also learn from this fight. I knew it was going to be an easy fight, and I was prepared mentally and physically for the full 8 rounds, and that's what we did, And like you said, like sponge in boxing, you're always learning everything, something new every day.
Because some don't learn.
No,
some don't learn. Some continue to go in there with the same strategy, mistakes. Same mentality, same tactics, and I'm just like, wait, like you're doing the same thing.
But you can see, for example, this man he fought, and I say man because he was 27 years old against an 18-year-old. He had over 20 fights. He had 17 victories. You don't see. Tell me how many kids at 18 or even grown men with a 10-0 record, you're gonna match them up against a 17 fight winner.
You're gonna give 13 fights, 8 fights.
Yeah, exactly. His last fight was I think 24-25 fight winner, which was an world champion.
That was right here in Pico, right?
That was in Pico,
right. We were gonna go to that one, but we had something come up.
Yeah, so
to where we couldn't make it.
So that's the only way that, and this is the truth. Look, I'm gonna share with you some insight. For example, when they first sent me the name, we looked at it as a team and everything. The team, I said obviously I trust in the coaching and everything, and they came back and said, yeah, we'll take this fight, and I really didn't look into it deep enough. I just saw, okay, well, they said, okay, we'll take it, then we'll go with it. But then as I started traveling, I went to Guadalajara. I met up with Marco Antonio Barrera, a legend in boxing. He's a partner of ours in Marv Nation, a friend of ours, and he started asking me about my son, his upcoming fight, and then I mentioned the guy who he was fighting, and he said, whoa, that guy's from Guadalajara, and I know who he is, and he's an ex-world champion, right? I think 2 times, if I'm not mistaken or something, but he was a world champion, and I was like, I didn't know that. He's like, man, are you sure your son is ready for a fight like that? And I was like, yeah, okay, sure.
He better be, because we're in it.
I met the president, a few days later, I met the president of the WBO. And, we're talking about boxing, and I was talking to him about Nathan. I never mentioned it with my son. I just mentioned to him I have a fighter, that, he's coming up right now in the rankings and stuff, and we want to eventually get him, preparing for maybe a WBO title in the future, just, and he said, who's he fighting right now? And then I mentioned the name, and the guy came back like, whoa, well, you must really trust your fighter at 18 years old with, he was 8-0 at the time, right? You were 8-0? I think so. He was 8-0, 18 years old. He's like, you must really trust your fighter putting up against that guy. He's a world champion, right? Ex-world champion. I was like, that's the second time. Finally, somebody told me a third time, and I was like, nah, this is a sign, man. I gotta change the fight. So I come to Nathan, and I'm like, you know what, Nate? I'm really thinking about getting you another opponent. I'm thinking about, I was double guessing myself. I'm gonna be honest, because this is my son.
Right.
I'm a promoter.
Safety first.
Safety. And he said, look, I don't want any other fight. He's like, if I don't fight him, I'm not gonna fight anybody else. And I was like, whoa, okay. So if it's like that, you're sure about yourself. And I decided with the team, I said, hey, we just got to be 100% sure you know, because this is a big move. Like,
Yeah.
you don't usually they don't test fighters that early on, you know, especially when he's not an Olympic fighter, when he doesn't have. He had less than 10 fights. How many amateur fights did you have?
Really?
Only nine amateur fights.
9 amateur
Not
fights.
even 10?
What?
Not even 10 amateur fights. No, exactly. So,
I wouldn't have guessed.
so you know, no, but he has. Look, the only reason I let him go pro at 16 is a couple of things. His IQ, like you say, he learns really quick.
Yeah,
He
you can
was
tell.
really, really quick. I mean, he was sparring, you know, at 16, at 15, he was already sparring people who were professionals, and he was like doing his thing, you know. Another thing is the hunger, you know, the drive, the discipline. Like, we were in the middle of the pandemic, you know, we were still doing shows. We were like probably one of the only promoters out there doing shows constantly. And he kept saying, I want to go pro, I want to go pro. And I was like, no, you're too young. And then I would see him in this gym while everybody was at home, you know, eating pizza, all these professional fighters eating pizza and eating whatever they wanted, not working out because there's a pandemic. He was in here working hard every single day. And I was like, whoa, this kid really has a drive. He really wants it. So that's what allowed me to say, you know what, he's hungry. Let's push him and let's go ahead and give him the opportunity. Like we said, Marv Nation is a promotive opportunity. So let's go. You know, first fight, he fought a grown man, knocked him out in the first round. You know, a lot of people said that it was set up. It was a setup because it was so quick. One punch and the fight was
That's
over.
like the common thing.
He caught him in a perfect position, knocked the guy out. The second fight, everybody's the first one was set up. The second fight, the guy came out with everything, trying to kill him. You know, another grown man, he fought a guy that was 29 years old. Guy came out swinging with everything. You can see it on YouTube. And, you know, Nathan just calm, collectively, never got crazy. You know, he was calm. He took a shot, and he returned fire, knocked the guy out where he was, like, stiff. Like one of those knockouts where, you know, he was like,
comatose.
Like, the way he folded him, you can't set that up. Then people were like, oh, man, this is the real deal.
Right.
You know, he's had 7 knockouts, right? 7?
Yeah, 10-0, 7 knockouts.
Nice,
But
man.
yeah, I mean, like I said, people, they were doubting in the beginning and stuff like that. And, you know, I used that as motivation. I just kept training hard. And, you know, it was crazy. Like, my last fight, I think I really I still have a lot to prove, but I think people are starting to kind of see, like, I'm more serious about this now. Yeah. And, you know, God willing, in the future, just get more belts and just keep climbing those rankings.
To me, his third fight is when I knew Nathan was special.
He was made for it.
Yeah, I knew he was made for it. Tell him about what happened on your third fight.
So that fight, that was actually in TJ, and I was preparing for that fight, and we already had an opponent set up. There was a promoter out there. We were fighting on his card, and they had gave us an opponent. So I was like, all right, cool. We did our study, our film on him. We trained and practiced for him, and then the day of the weigh-ins, we got there. They switched it up.
Yeah, it's so common to TJ.
Hey, why does that happen so much out there?
All the time.
You know what? There's 2 reasons. Sometimes, you know, fights will fall out, and they'll just come, and they'll do a quick replacement, but they won't tell you because they don't want you to walk away. They know you're going to turn on the fight, and they're going to lose money. That's one thing. Second thing is that, you know, sometimes they have a fighter that they're building up, and then they bring, for example, they looked at Nathan like, you know, you were, I think, 16. He was 16 years old, and he was already 2-0. And they were like, you know, this is an easy win for my fighter. He can take those 2 wins, whatever he's already accomplished, we'll take that and we'll put that into our fighters. So sometimes they'll set you up to lose so they can take your, you know, the work that you've done, your record, basically.
Yeah, so the day of the weigh-ins, we got there, and they had told us that the guy couldn't make it in, so they brought some other guy, and I was like, all right, it's cool, whatever, you know, I trained hard. I'm ready for the fight. And then the next day, we're going into the ring, we're walking into the ring, and then my opponent is walking out, like, with a whole robe and, like, a nice outfit.
Ric Flair style.
Billy Joe Sanders style, bro. I kid you not.
Billy Joe Sanders.
So when we're in the ring, like, the referee's doing the instructions and everything, and I'm looking at this guy, and, like, he has different hair, and he looked a little bit taller, but I wasn't really thinking about it because I was just ready to fight at that moment. But in my head, I was like, damn, this guy looks different. And it wasn't until after the fight we noticed they had switched the guy
The person,
again.
he's like,
So they switched it on me 3
Dude,
times.
No way.
You remember Lawrence said the same thing. He's like, He's like, some of these guys, I mean, you weigh in with one dude, and then the dude walking in the ring, it's a whole different guy.
That's how they get down right there.
Wild.
That's how they do it, man. It's crazy. That's when I knew there was something special, because I knew that guy came out to win, and I'm thinking, like, man, this is a setup. Like, they just set us up, you know? And the reason I let him fight on that card is because we were starting to build a relationship with that promoter. Like, we're a networking promoter. We build relationships all over the place because that's the way you get stuff done. And we were starting to build a relationship with him, but that was the last time I've ever talked to him.
Yeah, he pulled the rug up front from under you.
Fight in the ring after that fight, bro, I was calling him out like, hey, it's me and you now, because
Ponte los guantes,
yeah,
bro.
but I thought, listen, from the beginning when I saw him come out, I knew that wasn't the fighter, you know. And
so in the when he walked out, you right away knew.
I right away knew.
You were paying attention.
I right away knew.
But you didn't realize it until he was in the ring.
A little bit, but I was more concentrated.
You were
on the fight.
focused.
Yeah. But I knew we were set up, and I was like, we're not winning this fight. I said, you know what? This was a complete setup. We're not. I said, Nathan's not leaving this fight with a win. Even if he wins the fight, I even thought, to be honest with you, the commission was involved even in this. You know what I mean? To allow something like that, I figured, hey, they got to be in.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, Nathan, no matter what he does, he's not going to win this fight. And I'm going to tell you, it was a war. It was a war from the first round. I mean, he obviously controlled all three of the rounds. They gave him pretty much. He had pretty much winning the first 3 rounds, but in the fourth, he took a shot, man. They threw an overhand and hit him in the head, and he looked like he wobbled a little bit, you know. And the guy has some power, and I thought Nate was gonna go down. And you know, he took the guy. He took 5 shots after that, and he missed all 5 of them. Even though Nate was hurt, he was still moving and dodging and all over the place. And the guy missed the shots, and then Nate came back around and almost knocked the guy out. Like, he took control of the fight. So for me, that was just like, first of all, I was trying to control my blood pressure. That's the first thing, you know what I mean? You know, that was the first thing I was trying to do. But the second thing I was looking at is like, you know, man, we got a true champion here, because he had to pull everything he had to win that fight. And when it went to decision, they gave him the decision. I was shocked. I was like, really? Like, wow. You know, even the commission couldn't deny that, you know, that he won this fight, even though they did everything. Everything was against him, and he still won, you know?
So you're a natural. Because if you hadn't been through that if they're switching the guy up on you and the guy was way more experienced, you've got to slowly, gradually go through that to learn what to do, because a lot of people freeze. Yeah.
Exactly.
That means you're natural.
And like I said, you know, I didn't have a lot of amateur fights, so
right.
I was glad. You know, I told him I'm glad I went through this, because I definitely learned a lot from this fight. And, you know, from there, like I said, I learned from each fight, and I just keep moving on from there.
That's incredible.
Hey, so how